get him on with us. Looking forward to talking with him, actually. Um, yeah, we're going to, the website, MikeVara.com. I know you want to go over, hit the donate button, appreciate it. And CC, thank you for that 20 spot in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. I mean, he does so much already. And look, he even donates. I mean, my God. Yep. If you were if you had a radio show and you needed a producer, well, you'd be lucky if you had him. He'll hook you up. He'll hook you up. He wakes up in the middle of the night with ideas and just runs to the studio to put them in action. So David Blum, my guest tonight, is as I said, a trailblazer in alternative energy and the author of the groundbreaking book, Alcohol Can Be a Gas. He's here to tell us the truth about alcohol fuel and why the powers that be never wanted you to know it. So, as I like to say, buckle up because we're about to challenge everything you might have thought you knew about energy, sustainability, and even freedom. So David Blum, let's get David on with us. I am my own producer, so me and the fly. The fly helps out too. He poops on my screen. Let's see here. Is that gonna? I think that'll work. All right. We are ringing.
Hello.
Good evening, David. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Listen, we are live, and I want to thank you for taking time out to be with us here. It's been a little while since we've talked.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. So, David, if you wouldn't mind, maybe get into a little bit of how you came upon this whole alcohol for fuel thing. How did you wind up being such an advocate?
Well, it goes back to when I was in the university early years. I'm an ecologist by training, so one of my key ecology professors, he said, this is my last year. I can do whatever I want and nothing will happen to me. So I'm really tired of people sleeping in my class. So every so often, I'm going to tell you a lie. And if you catch me in the lie, I take you to lunch.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was thinking, I want this burrito really bad. So so here he is one day yakking about microbiology, and he's got a big bottle of yeast fermenting, bubbling away on the lab table. And he turns back to the class and says, that stuff would even run your car. Well, I jump up in the back room and I say, you're a liar. He was just waiting for someone to do that. And he said, prove it. Called me out in front of everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I go to the library. I dig into it, and oh my, I find dozens of books written back in the early 1900s about alcohol as fuel. And I was shocked, because that was my first exposure to realizing they don't tell you everything,
Oh, yeah.
So that broke me of, blind confidence and, the things that we are told. So anyway, I dug into it in a really big way. And this is back in the 70s while I was in college. So, I went out and built a still, so I went ahead and I was using food processing waste because I thought that was, the low-hanging fruit because I lived in San Francisco. It wasn't like there were crops around.
Yeah.
So I was using donuts, Donuts, what are donuts? They're wheat flour, which is carbohydrate, and there's sugar, which is certainly a carbohydrate, and then they're fried and that kind of thing. So when we make alcohol, we use carbohydrates. And yeast eat the carbohydrates, and they breathe out carbon dioxide, which was the stuff bubbling in my teacher's big 5-gallon glass jar on the lab table. So they breathe out CO2, make the bubbles, and they also, you might say, poop out alcohol. So they turn the carbohydrates. So carbo is carbon dioxide, hydrate is water. They're glued together with solar energy, and that's what sugars and starches are. So yeast break it apart into its pieces, and that's how we get alcohol. So here I am fermenting my donuts, and I'm having trouble with the fermentation because donuts are deep fried. So, here I am working with this stuff, and there's a big layer of fat on the top. So I drain that off, and I put it on my compost pile. So then I finish the fermentation. It takes a couple days, and then fire up the still, and wow, I get my first alcohol and put it in my car. So that was about 190 proof or 95% pure, which is plenty, to put in your car. It mixes with gas just fine, not a problem,
Yeah.
So I went to a donut shop and I said, hey, if I bring these 55-gallon drums to your, place, and all those waste donuts at the end of the day, you throw them in the drum, and when it's full, can you call me? And they said, oh, sure, not a problem. See, donuts are one of those things where the cost of making them is insignificant. It's pennies to make a donut. But missing a sale for donuts, well, that's unforgivable. So they always make extra. There's never a donut shop that makes just what it needs. So I figure in a week they'll call me, and the next morning at 6 a.m, because bakers get up early, he says, it's full. Oh, gosh, I run on down there with my pickup truck, and I pick up my drums, and, I bring them back, and I cook them up, and I make alcohol, and, the rest is history, But around this time, I went to work for Mother Earth News out in North Carolina at their Eco Village Center. Mm-hmm. And, I started working with them on more advanced distilleries and that kind of thing. And I've been doing that ever since, really, working with alcohol in so many different ways. And, it has huge political implications.
Sure it does. And listen, I bet it'd be a lot better than even the electric cars they're trying to shove down our throats.
Yeah. I got to tell you. Okay, so electric cars. Electric cars existed before internal combustion engine cars. They were first, and they never caught on. It was, when they finally started making internal combustion engine cars, they ran them on alcohol. There was no such thing as gasoline yet. So alcohol was used on the early model, Henry Ford's Model A's. And they later became dual fuel, and you can adjust either alcohol or this new gasoline stuff that was kind of garbage, but, it was available when so you could use it. So at that point, alcohol's 106 octane, and the gasoline that they were selling was 50 octane. It was just the waste byproducts of making valuable things out of oil, like heating oil and stuff like that, and all the toxic stuff that's left over, the benzene, toluene, and xylene. Well, that's what we call gasoline. Now, in California, there's a sticker right on the gas pump, and it says, warning, standing in this area while filling your tank with gasoline will expose you to benzene, toluene, and other chemicals that are known to cause cancer and cause mutations and blah, blah, blah. And it's right
Yeah.
there on the pump, right? And
Yeah.
so people just don't see it anymore, I mean, it's like, no, I'm filling my car up, yeah. And, it says right there, don't stand in the area while you're doing this. So this garbage they've been selling was whatever was left over from making, valuable things out of oil. And over the years, the things we make from oil are an incredible number of things.
Oh yeah.
So, so here you are nowadays. You take a barrel of crude oil, you start refining it. You make, plastic, and you make nylon, which is a plastic, and you make pesticides, and you make herbicides, and you make solvents, and anyways, there's a million things. But at the end of the day, half of that crude oil is a big pool of benzene, toluene, xylene, and other really horrible things. And so that's never changed.
Yeah.
So now the thing is, alcohol has none of these issues. Alcohol is generally not toxic, although there have been some mornings after a bender where I do think it's toxic, but it generally doesn't kill you, and it certainly doesn't cause cancer. But moderation is always a good thing if you drink the stuff. And the stuff I make in the still back then, I tried it a few times, tasted it. Oh, it was awful.
So listen,
Because
if you're buying alcohol to put in your tank, if we were to switch over to it, I mean, I'm sure price would go down even more, right? But um, what would it cost per gallon for alcohol compared to gasoline?
well, that there's an industrial answer, and then there's the do it at home answer. Okay,
Okay,
so
what's the do it at
the
home answer? That first.
basically, basically you can make alcohol. We'll see what happens with the Trump administration, because right now there's $1 a gallon tax credit for every gallon of alcohol you make. You get money off your taxes if you make alcohol and put it in your
Really?
car.
And
Yes,
that's Trump
you have
doing
to.
that?
No, no,
Oh,
no. That's what I'm saying. He's about to maybe put an end to it because he's trying to get rid of all green fuels. He's trying to get rid of all the benefits for everything that isn't oil. But anyway, up until now, we got at least $1 a gallon tax credit when we made our alcohol and put it in our car and drove it. The cost of making the alcohol for a gallon is less than $1. So I guess it's sort of free.
yeah.
Of course, it takes some work to do it. But if you look at the ingredients, basically it's yeast, the same yeast that make wine or beer. And if you put a pinch of that in a jar with sugar in it, well, the yeast start reproducing, and that little half a penny of yeast becomes an enormous quantity. And then you add that to the carbohydrate-rich raw material that you're making into alcohol. So that's the main thing. You use energy to distill, but there's a lot of different ways to come up with energy. The still I used to use back then in the at the start it had a wood firebox to provide the heat for the distillery, and I used old pallets that I sawed up and threw them in there. So if you're creative, it can be pretty cheap. But if you're going to make it commercially, you're looking at a more sophisticated setup. And right now, I haven't checked today's price, but I believe in the Midwest, alcohol is selling at the pump for a little less than $3. Maybe someone, if you have tapes call-ins, let's have someone tell us what it really is. But gasoline out here in California is $5 a gallon now. So for the first time, in the last 5-10 years, alcohol has been cheaper than gasoline. In the past, they were pretty close at the pump. And that's partly because, at least in California, so much of the price of the fuel is motor vehicle taxes to maintain the highways and all that. So that's a fixed price.
Yeah,
And
which they don't
that
do.
doesn't come down.
I say which
Well,
they
in
don't
California,
do, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
we got darn good roads in California. I got to tell you.
Well,
So that money goes somewhere, but other places it kind of fritters away. So anyway, alcohol is mankind's second oldest profession, right? We know how to make it. It's not a big mystery, and that's why big oil is like constantly